Remember the Cold War? Yeah, that was fun. It was a time of intense rivalry, espionage, and the constant threat of nuclear war. But that was then. Well, buckle up because we're in a new one. This time, the battlefield isn't physical, it's digital. The stakes are just as high, if not higher. This time, it's about microchips, not missiles. These tiny pieces of technology are the backbone of our modern world, powering everything from smartphones to advanced military systems. At the center of it all is Huawei, a Chinese tech giant that's been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Accusations of espionage and intellectual property theft have put them in the spotlight. The US government has pointed a finger at Huawei, claiming they're a bit too cozy with the Chinese government. Are they right? Or is this just another chapter in the ongoing saga of US-China relations? Is your new Huawei phone secretly sending your selfies to Beijing? The idea might sound far-fetched, but in a world where data is the new oil, nothing is off the table. Let's dive in. The stakes are high. We're talking about more than just consumer electronics. We're talking about the future of global technology leadership. We're talking about global dominance in technology, something that impacts everything from your smartphone to national security. The implications are vast and far-reaching. The US has taken a hard line, banning Huawei from doing business with American companies. This move has sent shockwaves through the tech industry. China, unsurprisingly, isn't thrilled about it. The country sees this as an attack on its technological ambitions and a direct challenge to its sovereignty. As the world watches, the question remains, who will come out on top in this new tech Cold War? Only time will tell. Huawei wasn't always a household name. It started small back in 1987, founded by a former engineer in the People's Liberation Army. But boy, did they climb the ladder fast. They went from making phone switches to becoming a global leader in smartphones, 5G networks, and other cutting-edge tech. Their success? Partly due to aggressive pricing and government support. But they also made some genuinely innovative products, giving companies like Apple and Samsung a run for their money. Huawei's rise was meteoric, but then came the storm clouds. The US government has been casting a wary eye on Huawei for a while now. See, in China, there's this thing called the National Intelligence Law. It basically says that Chinese companies have to cooperate with the government on intelligence matters, if asked. That's where the US gets nervous. They're worried that Huawei might be forced to install backdoors in their equipment, allowing the Chinese government to spy on unsuspecting users. Imagine your phone, your network, all compromised. Not exactly ideal, right? The US is also worried about Huawei dominating the 5G market, giving China a strategic advantage in the future of technology. So far, the US hasn't publicly presented any concrete evidence of Huawei spying for the Chinese government. However, there have been whispers, allegations, and concerns raised by intelligence agencies. Some security researchers have pointed to vulnerabilities in Huawei's software, suggesting potential security risks. Huawei, for their part, has vehemently denied all allegations of spying. They claim they're a private company, not a puppet of the Chinese government. They've even said they'd rather shut down than compromise their users' security. So far, it's a classic, he said, she said situation. Section 5. Huawei versus the world, a tech comparison. To understand the Huawei situation, it helps to compare them to other tech giants. Think Apple, Google, Facebook, the usual suspects. These companies collect tons of data on their users. That's no secret. But there's a key difference. They're American companies, subject to US laws and regulations. Huawei, being a Chinese company, falls under a different set of rules. The US government argues that these rules are too opaque, too favorable to the Chinese government. They fear that Huawei's technology could give China an unfair advantage in the global tech race. Section 6. The US and China speak out official statements. This section delves into the official statements made by both nations regarding the ongoing tech conflict. The US government has been pretty clear about their stance on Huawei. They don't trust them. This distrust stems from concerns over national security and the potential for espionage. They've banned US companies from doing business with Huawei, effectively cutting them off from key American technology and markets. This move has had significant repercussions for Huawei, impacting their global operations and market reach. They've also pressured their allies to do the same, urging them to find alternative suppliers for their 5G networks. This has led to a global debate on the future of 5G technology and the role of different nations in its development. China, unsurprisingly, isn't happy about this. They view the US actions as an unfair attempt to curb their technological advancements and influence. They've accused the US of hypocrisy, pointing out that American tech companies also collect vast amounts of data. This argument highlights the double standards in the global tech industry. They've called the ban on Huawei an attempt to stifle China's technological rise and maintain US dominance. This narrative is central to China's response, framing the issue as a struggle for technological sovereignty. The war of words continues. Both sides remain steadfast in their positions, with no clear resolution in sight. The tech conflict between the US and China is a complex and evolving issue that will likely have long-term implications for global technology and politics. Section 7. The global tech landscape shifting sands. The Huawei ban has shaken up the global tech landscape. It's forced countries to choose sides, either siding with the US or finding ways to work with Huawei. Some countries have followed the US lead, banning or restricting Huawei's involvement in their 5G networks. Others have decided to take the risk, partnering with Huawei despite the security concerns. This has created a kind of tech Cold War, with the US and China vying for influence and control over the future of technology. The stakes are high, and the outcome is far from certain. Section 8. Consumers in the crossfire impacts of the ban. So how does all of this affect you, the average person scrolling through their phone? You might be surprised to learn just how far-reaching the impacts are. Well, the Huawei ban has had some real-world consequences for consumers. It's not just about missing out on a brand, it's about the ripple effects that touch various aspects of daily life. For one, it's made it harder to get your hands on Huawei products in certain parts of the world. This scarcity has led to frustration among loyal customers who have come to rely on Huawei's innovative technology. If you're in the US, good luck finding a new Huawei phone. Retailers have largely stopped stocking them, and online options are limited and often overpriced. Even if you can find one, it won't come with Google services like Gmail, YouTube, or the Google Play Store. This lack of essential apps can make the phone feel almost unusable for many. That's because Google, being an American company, is banned from doing business with Huawei. This restriction has forced Huawei to develop its own app ecosystem, which is still catching up. The ban has also slowed down the rollout of 5G networks in some countries, as they scramble to find alternative suppliers. This delay affects not just Huawei users, but everyone who stands to benefit from faster internet speeds. In summary, the Huawei ban is more than just a political maneuver. It's a disruption that affects consumers, technology, and the future of global connectivity. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or just someone who wants a reliable phone, the impacts are hard to ignore. Section 9. Conclusion: a tech thriller unfolds. The Huawei saga is a complex one, full of geopolitical intrigue, technological advancements, and national security concerns. It's a story that's still being written, with no clear ending in sight. Is Huawei a genuine threat to national security, or are they a pawn in a larger geopolitical game? The truth, as always, is likely somewhere in between. What's certain is that the Huawei ban has had a ripple effect throughout the tech industry and beyond, forcing us to confront important questions about data security, national sovereignty, and the future of technology in a world increasingly divided.